What's going on, everybody? How are you doing? Happy to see you here, whether you're live with us or catching the replay. It's your favorite nerdy podcast, and of course, that podcast is ComicXWeeb. I am your co-host, James, aka Comics for Cheap, aka hashtag send James, aka bet $1,500, lose $10 million. And I got my co-host here with me.
It's your boy Chris, aka Black Santa. My phone is like technically dying, so there we go. Black Santa, baby. AKA. Seriously, that was the dumbest thing to do. Bet for $1,500, now you're losing $11 million. AKA Super Cold. God is back. What's up? Sponsored by no one. We still don't have no
FanDuel. God damn it. Let's start making our own fucking sponsor. Just start making shit up until they actually agree to sponsor us.
That's right.
So we were talking backstage real quick about some of the crazy NFL news, and we'll just recap what we were saying just real quick. First of all, Russell Wilson traded to the Broncos, so sorry Seahawks fans, but the Westbrook going to the Broncos. I guess the Broncos were upset about not getting Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers reportedly re-signed with Green Bay for 4 more years at $50 million a year with like a guarantee of $170 million or some stupid shit. Like,
yeah, it makes him the highest. Like, that's definitely the highest guaranteed. It's either like 170 or 150. It's around that range, but it's like it just overall, this contract, the way it's structured, it does make him the highest paid player in NFL history because of how it's technically structured.
$1 million a week. That's insane.
Yeah. And the fact that at least 150 is flat out guaranteed, like that's what he's getting like right now for his signing bonus. Like that's just going to be instantly put into that man. Woo!
Ridiculous. And then Calvin Ridley suspended for a year at least.
At least,
says Chris. At least a year for betting what he says was $1,500 on FanDuel. However, I don't think they've actually come out with details yet. So, you know how he's probably going to try to rush to skew however many details or whatever. But it could be more. It could be more in depth than just like one single bet. But all we know is he was making some sports betting on the NFL, and yeah, got caught and is banned for a season because of it.
Which is just so stupid. You bet, at least according to him, $1,500 when you're gonna make like $11 million plus. Doesn't make much. That's not the risking that for $1,500 makes no sense whatsoever. So that's why I'm with you. I feel like there's way more to this than what he said, because if that truly is literally just it, you truly are the dumbest NFL player I've seen in a few years, because that doesn't make any sense to me.
Besides some of the Vegas players,
lose that much money for this.
Yeah. But we were also talking about a little bit, or touching on it, how like rampant NFL sports betting has become over the last couple of years. Because I mean, like you were saying, obviously, when you think about what you were able to bet on previously, before I guess laws changed or anything, you would think like, oh, you go to the track and you bet on the horses, like you were saying. But you wouldn't even be able to like bet on NASCAR legally up until recently. Like there was a lot of stuff that you just weren't able to. Now it's like not only can you bet on the NFL, it's promoted by the NFL, sponsoring the NFL. They're talking about it every other commercial. The broadcasters are bringing it up. They're talking about it in intermission. I don't know. Like I really don't like gambling culture as it is. I'm not really a big betting person, but like even I it's almost like uncomfortable for me just seeing like it's almost like because they're preying on people, you know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, you know, you get your first $100 or whatever just for signing up. Oh, you get this, and it's just, you're just preying on these people who can't stop. They have gambling addictions, or they're just like, oh, just a little more. Oh, I could have won. Oh, I was this close. Oh, I might get it next week type of thing. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, man. I mean, there is a reason that a lot of it is illegal to begin with. So for them to just come out and make this legal is just kind of, I don't know how to feel about it.
No, I'm with you. And it's even crazy because remember, they even promote their own analysts. Like ESPN be having all these different type of bet pools for so many different things during the regular season for the NFL, which their own analysts partake in. And for the NBA, and obviously in the past, it was always for like March Madness, get your brackets and all that. But now it's every single sport that they're promoting and having their own people at the company do, and not just ESPN, Fox, and all those other guys. They're doing the same thing. And the NFL heavily promotes, like you said, gambling now. And it's just crazy when you think about it. Like they're like you said, everything you said, honestly, I don't need to repeat it. Everything you said is true. They try to get people to freaking gamble.
And it's not just one app anymore. And it's like, that's the other thing. There's apps on your phone, which makes it so simple. And it's not just one app. There's like 5 or 6 of them at this point that are all doing pretty much the same thing and offering the same kind of stuff.
They want you to be using all of them at the same time.
Yeah.
Having different bets going on.
Which is crazy. So just be careful out there if you are a sports gambler, not passing judgment or anything. It's just, it's very easy to get sucked into that kind of stuff. I've seen some people, even in like the comic group chats, that think they're going to win certain whatever and end up losing every single bet they make that weekend. And it's just like, well, damn, dude, I don't know what to tell you. I don't feel sorry for you.
That's devastating for them, man. Yeah, absolutely.
It actually happened recently. I was able to secure a book off of someone because they needed to sell a slab after losing all their bets that weekend. And I was like, I'm not going to offer you a lot, bro, because I know you need the money.
Exactly.
Like, I don't feel bad for you.
That's just like in sports. When you're trying, like that player who's damaged goods, you're not going to get much from them.
Right.
There you go.
But let's talk about this weekend, Chris. I came down to Greenville. We had a grand old time. I finally got to hang out with you again. And we went to a comic show. We went to the Greenville Geektacular Comic and Toy Show. And Chris, you've never been to a comic or a show like that, right?
Nope, I have not. I've been
let me know what you thought about it.
Comms and everything, but never like that. It was fun, man. Outside of obviously me hopping all around everywhere, not being as mobile as I would like to be, But outside of that, man, it was just a great time, man. It was interesting too. Just listening, watching you and how you're just able to just go. Like they have these boxes and all these comics, and obviously a lot of you guys listening already know. But, they got these boxes and these comments, and just watching James, just watching them, just go through them so quickly, just looking so quickly while me and one of our other guys with us, Dakota, we're just like slowly looking at the comic like, okay. Oh, look at that. This dude is just like, just going through each one like it's nothing. And then he's like, all right, this is the one. It hands it to me and hands it to Dakota. Like, oh, no, this is not. It's trash. And it's just like, Jesus Christ. It was so funny. He's like, this trash. I'm looking at him. And literally just looking to my right, slowly looking to my right. The guy's just standing right there that he's calling trash. And I'm just like, you want him to get you a deal, right? But you're saying stuff is trash. All right. But watching him work though, it was really cool, man. It was really cool. And that place got packed really quick too.
Yeah, they said they had their best turnout yet later than the day on Facebook. I guess the next day on Facebook they said
because Black Santa was there.
Yeah, Black Santa was there, which was cool. It was an event, a sighting of Black Santa in public, which was crazy. But yeah, no, I mean, a lot of dealers know not to take it personally when you say like whatever, oh, that's trash, or oh, that's not. It just means it's not what I'm looking for. It's not something that's valuable for me. Someone else might be into it or whatever. But yeah, you got to be quick in those bins. You can't be wasting time. There's a lot, like as you saw. I mean, that was a small show, and you saw how many comics were there. So if you're gonna attempt to get through, the amount of dealers in the room or whatever, you definitely got to be able to to move quickly. So it was a lot of fun though. We had a good time. Ended up finding what I got just over a short box in comic books. Ended up actually bagging, boarding, and sorting today. So they'll be going up on Instagram at Comics for Cheap. You can follow me there, and they'll be going up for the cheaply starting tomorrow, actually. So that should be good.
That's right, because eventually we're gonna have that your arch nemesis who's gonna show up and comics for expense. I don't know what he's calling this crap. It's gonna be like the more expensive version of comics for cheap.
That's right. Dakota the whole time he was like, I'm just gonna start up my own thing.
Gonna challenge you.
That's right.
By charging even more for stuff that you would like, it's a $10 book, it's a $30 book now. All right. Good luck.
Exactly. Not sure how it makes much sense, but it is what it is.
Hey man, I believe in Dakota. He's gonna make something happen. Don't whether it's gonna be good or bad, something's gonna happen. But yeah, it was just awesome watching and listening to the other guys too. The guys selling their stuff, listening to some of their stories and their ideals when they go into looking at stuff. And remember, some of the guys was even looking some stuff right then and there and pricing things right then and there. Like, oh, I didn't even know I brought this and so and so, and just listening to that stuff. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
So that guy I'm pretty sure he says he only sets up at that Greenville show as far as like bringing books to sell. But also there are certain dealers, I guess he's one of them, that will buy stuff obviously that morning during setup and then reprice or whatever and put them in their own bins to sell during the show. So there is a little bit of that going on as well. It's something that I generally don't do if I'm buying at a show, whether it's like the night before or during the setup in the morning. I set all that aside in a box and worry about processing and pricing and all that kind of stuff later. Because there's just so much going on. There's too much going on, and I don't want to miss something. I don't want to, like, for example, if there was like a defect or something or a page missing, or just something going on with the book that I wasn't aware of. I don't want to be like rushed trying to grade it, price it real quick right there on the spot, putting it up for sale, and then someone ended up buying it and being disappointed with how I presented the grade. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of how I deal with it. But there are definitely people. I've even heard of dealers or vendors that go to shows with nothing and do all their buying, and then that's how they set up their booth. It's not they're kind of few and far between, but there are definitely people who do stuff like that, which that's like extra crazy.
Yeah.
That's living on the edge because it's expensive to get a table at most places. So for someone to like do something like that, that's a gamble because you're gambling on being able to find other people that's got the stuff and then being able to sell it at a markup or whatever. So for sure, I definitely wouldn't want to do that. Oh man, but we need to talk about what else we did that day, which was go to see the Batman.
The Batman.
It was pretty awesome. Should we go ahead and go through like a in-depth spoiler review of it?
I guess we should. Why not?
All right. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the Batman, that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about for you guys to jump out or, come back and resume once you have seen it. Although it's done something like 150 million domestically already, opening weekend.
Yeah, a lot of people seen it.
The second highest in the pandemic after Spider-Man. So a lot of people definitely have seen it. Rocking pretty high reviews for both for critics and for the audience score. Audience score a little bit higher than the critics, obviously. But yeah, overall, Chris, what was your overall take of the movie?
It was really good. I definitely love Batman's theme every time he showed up with the music that played. I love that theme so much. It was really cool because it sets the tone. It's that dark, gritty, stuff is really about to pop off. So I definitely enjoyed that. And honestly, it was such a good movie. And I'm happy that we didn't get a recap starting the movie off wasn't a recap of, the Wayne's family's death. Like, I'm happy they didn't do it that way. This was Batman a year or two in. Wasn't it 2 years? I think it was
2 years in. Yep.
2 years in. He's here, but he's still obviously new. The only person that really trusts him is Gordon, which honestly that's kind of how it is either way. And it makes sense. It was always fun listening to the cops just call him freak and like this weirdo. They every time they kept questioning Gordon, like, dude, why are you allowing this man to be here in police business? Like, he's walking through crime scenes. You got this dude in a bat suit with armor and a belt and gadgets, and on crime scene. So a guy dead here. What are you doing, Gordon? And it was also interesting. Gordon wasn't Commissioner Gordon at that point in time. They had a commissioner.
No, correct, right? Yeah. So he hadn't quite made the promotion yet to Commissioner Gordon. He was just Detective Gordon.
Basically, yeah, he was just basically Detective Gordon. Because it was funny because it was nice how they did introduce the whole Wayne family death thing. I felt they did it perfectly, and they narrated it throughout the movie perfectly because it basically kicked off. We're gonna kind of. I don't know if we're gonna go full in depth or are we just gonna go piece to piece of just stuff that we like. I don't really know, but it did basically kick off with they was talking. They had the election was happening, and they had two candidates, and the guy was watching his female counterpart, who he's going against. He's watching her do her thing, and he's listening to what he said. And it looked like he had some worries and this and that. He's on the phone. He's but he still had a lot of confidence. But it had a dude in the background just watching and waiting and lurking. And then right when my man turned his TV off, got off the phone and turned around, that's when it was it. Got murdered, got killed, put down.
Yeah. So by the Riddler, the Riddler was kind of stalking him out. There were definitely a lot of long pan camera shots throughout this movie. And just from the start, like you were saying, with how they shot it and from his perspective, just him with the heavy breathing watching. I really enjoyed the long pan shots. Even like the fight scenes were pretty almost like a one take long pan shot.
It was good,
which just made it feel more like a comic book. Honestly, it's just kind of instead of just like jumping and cutting and just kind of like jumping around the scene and everything to show these fights. You showed Batman like eating some of them punches and bullets and everything like that, and then striking back all in a single shot, which I thought worked wonders. One thing I did not like, I loved Riddler and how he was portrayed and everything. I just wasn't the hugest fan of his costume.
Of his costume?
Yeah.
That was because he didn't necessarily have one out. I mean, he had that little crap that he had when he was like hiding. Yeah, I guess so. I guess that was his costume, right?
Yeah,
that was so. Yeah, I guess you're right. That was pretty lame.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Like, he's not going to just be like wearing the flamboyant question mark suit or whatever. But I felt like it could have been something a little bit better. Something.
I guess this is one of those things where it was the reason why I was not. I agree with you. I didn't like it neither. But the reason why I was okay with it overall is, again, since this is obviously we said for since he didn't die at the end, they can obviously have him have a much better get up in the future. So I was like, okay, well, I think they're saving some better stuff for because this is still the first Riddler. Like, this is still him early on. This is the first time he's really caused his problems. So this is him early on, not later on. But I want to say this too. I'm gonna get to the Riddler real quick. The thing I really like, because that's why I led with the first part, was then they kind of ushered in like the Wayne thing, and they're just like they tell you in a news broadcast when they're talking about the deaths. like this reminds them of what bad happened when the Waynes died and this and that. And they kept that narrative going, like I said, through the whole movie in a really good way, where it wasn't forced down your throat, but it built to things that actually had a climax that mattered later on in the movie. But with the Riddler, again, the thing I liked the most about him, and me and you talked about it, briefly at the, when we was leaving the theater, I loved that they was able to make a villain who was not physically threatening,
right,
and make him so dangerous and threatening, where it wasn't a thing where it was like, if it's Bane, at the end of the day, Batman's gonna have to physically take this dude down in some epic fight. It's going to happen. With this, there was never any of that where it was gonna be like Batman and Riddler never had a legit fight scene at all. And that was the key thing of it, because Riddler was not a fighter, and he even said that. He's like, dude, I'm not a fighter. Like, he said that. Like, it was all about him using his wits and his brain and his intelligence to get things done, and for people to follow his riddles and lead to situations that will give him opportunities to kill his victims.
Right. Also, his usage of the internet, chat rooms, building like an online, almost like a 4chan presence of followers, that kind of thing was really cool as well, just to kind of modernize him and the movie and into the times that we're in, and making it, pretty similar to how it would go down if that was really what was going on.
And it was so neat that they saved even that to later on, where you didn't see his guys just showing up randomly, trying to thwart Batman. Like, that was what have happened in like past things, where his goons would have just randomly showed up and Batman would have been fighting them. They still did it smart, where they didn't have that happen until much later on in the movie, in a way that makes sense too.
And Batman, I mean, the other antagonists that we had in the movie, obviously Carmine Falcone was one of them, and the Penguin, and I do like that they, as far as like the Penguin and Riddler, like you said, kept them alive. So we do have future use of them. It wasn't a
if it was a Marvel movie, one of them, if not both, would have got murdered.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So that was something I liked. I liked that Batman never, like you said, he never fought Riddler physically. He never fought Penguin physically. I mean, he kind of got in a little car chase with him or whatever, but it didn't come to like blows or whatever.
Yeah, they didn't have like this drawn out fight where the flames in the background and they're fighting each other. But they did have one of the coolest scenes which they did kind of show in the commercial. When he like with the car scene and everything, he gets out, but with the music playing and us in the theater feeling that thing and a step by step, that was a cool scene. Him just walking towards him, that was badass
for sure. That was probably one of the most badass scenes.
Yes.
But Batman really just fought henchmen. I mean, as far as like actually throwing down, it was Riddler's henchmen that he was throwing down with, and Penguin's henchmen.
Yeah, a lot of mafia goons.
Yeah, exactly. So that I felt there were so many pieces that was like, this is almost exactly kind of what we grew up with the Batman animated series, and like just like the cartoons and stuff. And I was like, he's doing detective work. He's working with the police. All the other policemen are calling him names of like you were saying, like freak or like weirdo or whatever, except for Gordon. So that's like pretty much exactly how we saw it in the animated show. He's putting together clues. He's on the scene. He's a lot less time as Bruce. We hardly see him as Bruce, right? Unless he needs to use that as his identity, a secret identity to work the case. And then when it comes to fighting, he's really just fighting henchmen. So yeah, I just got this old school feeling from this movie. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was very, very well done. Probably my favorite Batman movie, period. I don't think it can be overtaken by The Dark Knight or Batman Begins, which are my other two favorite Batman movies. I really think that this one was the one.
I really enjoyed the fact that you get to see this is early Batman because there was mistakes he made that Batman later on would not do. Like when he goes to the he just barges in to the place to go meet with Penguin to go get an audience with him, and he just fights his way in, and he's beating people up and doing this and doing that, and then Penguin shows up and he almost hit Penguin, but Penguin's like, hey man, you're here to see me, right? All right, let's go this way. But Batman, a smarter, or I should say not necessarily smarter, but a more experienced Batman would have never barged his way in like that. So I love that they showed that, because that was a young Batman kind of learning things, because that was just dumb. Because not only did he put himself in a bad spot, there was innocent people there that easily could have been shot up in that club, because that was the place that looked like the actual club, but in reality, that was a front to the underground club being the real club. So these are normal people just clubbing out, partying, and there's people shooting in that club, and you hear them screaming and panicking and running away. That would have been, all those deaths would have been on Batman, because he just barged his way in and forced the security to act in that way. Again, those were things where it was like that was Batman learning. And I'm very sure in future iterations, we'll see Batman handle situations like that much different. So I love stuff like that, because they really did that. And like you said, the detective work. Oh, that was great. That was awesome. Even
showing
having
off,
Alfred help him out too at times. Good stuff.
Showing off his intelligence, how quickly he was able to solve some of those riddles, stuff like that.
Yes, that was so
really cool. And I was also going to say the mistakes that he made that were pretty evident. I mean, there was one time he was distracted talking to Selina, and I was like, damn, he's talking way too long to Catwoman, and then basically just gets shot. And that easily could have been like an ending for Batman if the bullet had gone anywhere else, right? So it was definitely a new, you could tell it was a new Batman, and they didn't shy away from it, which I like. It wasn't like he came out the gate perfect and able to do everything perfectly. He did make his mistakes. He had his backup contingency plans. I really liked his use of adrenaline later in the movie. When
that one kind of got me off guard there.
Yeah. He was down, and it looked like he was down and out, and it was all done. And he even has said, and I think even recently that in a Batman story that's going on right now, he said, like, I don't care if I live or die, which kind of makes him pretty dangerous when you think about it. If you think, like, as far as mental patients go, I don't care if I live or die. That means you don't care what happens to anyone, pretty much. So, him being acting in that way, when it looked like he was down and out, I was like, oh damn, like he really don't care. But then he comes out with the adrenaline and comes right back into it and starts beating the ever living shit out of this goon.
And remember, oh my god, he really only used the adrenaline to save Selina.
Right.
He didn't use it up until that point until he saw her about to be killed.
Right. Exactly.
And then he used that, and then he, like you said, he beat the crap out of my man, and it had to be Gordon to kind of calm him down and get him back focused. Like, dude, relax, it's me, calm down, bro. Like, focus. And I love that you said that you brought up the thing of like that means he didn't care about anybody else. Because remember, he even says that when Alfred has that moment where Riddler targets Bruce, not Batman, but Bruce particularly, and puts a bomb in Wayne Manor. And Alfred ends up opening it, and it blows up on Alfred. Luckily, he didn't die, because I was like, oh my, like I saw that thing, I'm just like, oh crap. And then like, leading up to it, I'm just like, I know who he's going after, and this and that. And then when it blows up, I'm like, oh god, don't have Alfred die in the first fucking movie, please. Like, God, you gotta be tear up in this fucking theater.
It would have definitely been a surprise and like something I wouldn't have seen coming as far as killing Alfred.
I'm happy they didn't do it though, because I'm
really happy they didn't do it, because I was like, damn, that's really all Bruce has, especially early Batman. Like, I was like, it doesn't make sense. I mean, if you're gonna kill Alfred, I understand. Like,
it's gonna have to be later on. If you
do it later, you know what I mean?
Batman, because that's just gonna mess everything up. Because if Alfred would have died, I don't think he gets that realization at the end. I think that would have led to even more vengeance and he probably just would have probably started killing. It depends. He would have killed somebody. But either way,
for sure.
He has that scene where he's talking to Alfred in the hospital, and he's just like, like you said, I didn't care about living or dying, and I didn't care. I thought I was past caring about anybody else's death until it got to you, and it was like you was gonna die, and it brought back all those fears he had as a kid when his parents died. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Because at the end of the day, let's understand that Batman, and especially even to this day, of the Batman that we know and love in comics to this day, old grizzled vet, is still just a guy with daddy and mommy issues. He misses his parents. That has never went away. That fuels him, and he's even said it in other stories. If that's gone, he's not Batman anymore. He needs that to be Batman.
Right.
So yeah, he can't lose that because then he's just not going to be him anymore.
For sure. Overall, I would say a solid 9.5 out of 10. If I were to grade it that way. The only thing I was just kind of mad about was the Riddler costume, like I said. I even thought like the Penguin looked really good as far as his makeup and how he looked. Upset that I didn't even see a reference of an umbrella, though. Like there was no umbrella anywhere. But again, like you said, we could be getting that in some future films. I don't know what their plans are with Pattinson and this Batman universe that they're creating. But hopefully, we get a better Riddler costume or a better Penguin costume. Well, I guess Penguin doesn't really have a costume. It's just I was just looking for an umbrella.
Well, he has a little checker suit a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean,
something like that.
The old school Penguin definitely has his costume, but
a lot of Penguins now just have like a white suit most of the time. It's like really a white little suit he's wearing. So
I'm cool with him.
I can see him wearing pure white in the future.
Yeah, or a tux or whatever, whatever.
Yeah, that's really what I mean. A white tux. Yeah. I'm sorry, a white tuxedo.
So that part didn't really bother. I was just like, man, not even like a reference to a umbrella, or like he had it during one scene or something, just having an umbrella in his hand, just nothing. So I was like, okay. But I mean, there's minor complaints in comparison to like, what I could complain about for some other DC movies. You know what I mean?
No, very true. Very true. I do know, well, it's not confirmed obviously, but I know the director was saying he wants to go to Court of Owls is probably the next thing. That's what he wants to do.
Would be awesome.
Yeah, so he said that's what he wants to do next. So that's a huge possibility of what we'll be getting next.
Well, I would be willing to bet after this opening weekend in box office sales that he will be allowed to do. First of all, allowed to do another movie. Pattinson will be probably signed back on again, everything like that. And then if they want him any kind of input from him, I would say that they would be more than willing to give him that opportunity after this performance.
There's a few more things I want to say about the movie before I get to that. I do want to say something else that's interesting. I know he also said in another interview that when it comes to Superman, because that was the number one question he was getting, he was saying he don't necessarily want to bring Superman in.
Good.
He wants to keep it more, according to him, he wants to keep it more grounded and don't bring in that supernatural thing. But here's the thing. I'm sorry, but you don't have to bring Superman in, but Batman is all supernatural. A lot of it is. Like, it's not just grounded. I mean, Killer Croc, the way the Court of Owls actually work is extremely supernatural in the grand scheme of things.
Maybe he means as far as like the protagonist, maybe like as far as the hero goes.
He was saying he want to keep the whole thing grounded. Like he even wants to change, because he was saying another big thing he wants to do is Mr. Freeze, but he wants to change Mr. Freeze and keep him a lot more grounded too.
Okay,
so that's what his whole thing is. He specifically said the supernatural part of Superman and that stuff is that he doesn't want to bring that in. But
do we get Arnold again?
Is my question. You can't do that. Like whether he wants to or not, that would be one of the things I'd be like, we're not going to give you that power, because at the end of the day, we're not saying we're going to make this supernatural in general and we're just going to have a bunch of zombies and crap show up. but
Right.
we gotta have a little bit of that in there. We can't just have it completely grounded and super realistic.
Right.
You have to still have that there, because at the end of the day, that means Batman is completely isolated from everybody else. There can't be no Wonder Woman, because I mean, literally a Amazonian race that has basically immortality. There's nothing grounded about that. You can't have Aquaman, who's out there, banging fish, according to Peacemaker. You can't have anything.
I like how that's his
really
supernatural trait that you go to. Right.
So we got to be a little careful with that. Again, we're not going to just jump in and have the Justice League show up, but we are going to have little tidbits and maybe little things and like not magazines. What is it called? Newspapers that you can kind of see walking by. There's something so and so happening, or maybe even have on like the Bat TV when he's watching stuff and like looking during an investigation, and on the side there's something talking about some crap about something landing in landing on Earth, looking like a star fell down from Earth, something like that. We're gonna put little pieces there to build our world. Doesn't necessarily mean we have to throw them right in, but we do want to have this stuff there and see that Bruce is actually investigating this too. He's just dealing what he can deal with now, but that stuff is there, hearing about some guy talking to fish or whatever. Anything like that, you got to be smart about it. You can't just ground it. But, that's, well, we got to see what happens in the future.
Yeah, because if you're just going to have like a grounded Mr. Freeze, what's the difference between that and Captain Cold? It's just Mr. Freeze. It's just Mr. Freeze with you call him Mr. Freeze, but it's just a dude with the cold gun at that point. And even the cold gun is a little bit like science fiction. You know what I mean? Yeah. Freeze ray. I'm sorry. So, I mean, I guess it really just depends if you're just going to have the backstory be that he's got his wife in the cryogenic chamber or whatever, and then like he's just out there with a regular ass gun, but then he's not really. I don't know if he's like Mr. Freeze at that point. You know what I mean? So I mean, and then you could say the same with like a lot of the a lot of Batman's villains, just like you were saying, like Scarecrow with the fear toxin. I guess that could kind of be grounded, like they did in Dark Knight / Batman Begins or whatever. But like at that, we've done that.
Yeah,
and we
want to make it more scary, because you can have some real fun with this Batman and make like, oh my god, imagine how much fun you can really have with a guy like Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Because like I feel like that's what Christopher Nolan did. He did all the grounded villains. He didn't do any supernatural villains. So it's like, so you're just gonna redo these villains that we've already seen recently, like most recently, because that was kind of Nolan's thing. He went for Joker, Bane, Scarecrow, Raj Al Ghul. I mean, he went for the most or the least supernatural villains already. So. And then it's cool if that's the route you want to go.
Raj, because Raj is all about supernatural.
Yeah, he definitely has a lot more than they showed with him just leading the League of Shadows as like a super ninja.
That's his whole gimmick. If you take that away, you got a really lessened version of him. That's not the full version. You have to have the Lazarus Pit and the insanely crazy stuff that it can do, and what it gives him and what it does to him. And, like that, again, that's going to be stuff that's going to be interesting, because what was also interesting about this movie, they made it clear that Alfred is the one who trained him. So Bruce hasn't been through that true martial arts training that he's supposed to go through. So that means, at least in this version of it, even though in most versions, this happens before he truly becomes Batman. Like, he really goes through that training first, and then he starts really being Batman and continuing it up. But in this scenario, that means he hasn't gone through that yet. So you can still do that. And you can even make it interesting. You can have Raj be the one who trained him if you really want to. And just and then it can make it even a more emotional thing when he finds out what Raj is doing and making it him against Raj. And then you can also, that's how you throw Talia in there too, where you can have her being a daughter, and Bruce and her getting closer and closer, and then finding out what her father is doing, you still have to have her somewhat of a villain to start. Honestly, you can't just have her be like, oh my god, I'm completely against daddy. You don't do that. Don't do that. You need to have her still at least at first, like, yeah, I'm with my dad. I'm on his side on this case. And then later on, if you want to have that happen, sure. But at least have her, make it more interesting.
Right.
Don't be super predictable and be like, oh no, she's instantly against Raj because what he's doing is evil. Like,
right.
That's lame. So again, but you can have so much fun with these guys, but you have to throw a little bit of that supernatural in there.
Throw a little supernatural in there, and I mean, attempt to maybe not use ones that we've seen most recently, but I mean, I understand if it works for the story, like I would say bring back Black Mask, but do it better than how they did with Birds and Prey. Victor Zsasz would be cool to see. If we're just talking about like dudes, like just regular ass dudes, and not like Killer Croc or like you were saying. Even like Lex Luthor wouldn't be too terrible, even though he's more of an iconic Superman villain.
That would be the big problem, though. If you introduce him, you have to introduce Superman,
right?
Because he is Superman's villain way more than Batman. I mean,
of course,
he's Superman's guy. So for him to be in Gotham, you have to have something that links to Superman. You can't have Lex show up and just completely ignore Superman. I would flip the fuck out. Yeah, I would be like, I'm done. Because I'm out. I'm serious. I'm out. I'll be like, I'm out. I'll see you guys in the car. Like that is just, that would be nonsense. So they can't do that and have him not be there. But I love the idea of having Lex be there. Would be awesome because Lex is freaking Lex. Because at the end of the movie, they heavily tease Joker.
They do.
They heavily tease Joker when Riddler is in the cell and he's in Arkham, feeling bad. He's feeling bad, and then you got the guy giving him a pep talk, and then his joke. It seems that his Joker, the silhouette looks like a Joker. The terrible Joker laugh was supposed to be a Joker laugh. It was the worst Joker laugh ever, but it was supposed to be a Joker laugh. So that's heavily implying Joker.
Right.
So again, like you said, though, that's somebody we already had, though. But again, you have to have Joker. I do get that. You can't have Batman without Joker. But like you said, we already had that. So you really could have saved it for a third. You could have saved that tease in the second movie. I would have saved it for the second one. I wouldn't have had him be the tease at the end. I would have had somebody else be. Because again, we're so it's always Joker. Definitely consider how great this movie did without any Joker reference at all.
Right.
I wouldn't have had him be the tease at the end. I would have had somebody else be to set up the next. I would have had it be, definitely if you want to do a Court of Owls, I would have had it been like somewhat of an owl tease. Like an owl come down with like a note assigned and slips it through Riddler's like little window or whatever. And he reopens it and reads it, and then he starts laughing. Bam!
Right.
Court of Owls tease just like that.
It'd be interesting to see them do a Court of Owls so soon, though, because I thought like the big thing about the Court of Owls was the fact that they were operating and existing in Gotham for so long without Batman's knowledge.
That's true.
And was a big deal. If you were to even go back further, that they had existed pretty much for all time, right? Isn't that kind of like
they was there the whole time. They was there the entire time, and that's what blew Batman's mind because he's like, I've been in Gotham for like all these years, and I've been running, I've been fighting all this stuff.
It's been like 80 years of doing this shit, bro.
And you telling me y'all been watching me the whole time, the entire time, and I had nothing. And that's Batman's whole thing. Batman has to know everything,
right?
So it like made him mad and like blew his mind. Like, wait a minute, I had no idea you guys was here, like none whatsoever. Bro, what's going on? This Cap. Y'all ain't been here.
This is Cap. Someone's lying right now.
Someone's lying right now about who asked I got a whoop line.
So it would be weird to see that happen for a Batman that's only existed for 2 years. And this seems to be like his most extreme case yet. He hasn't. At least they didn't reference anything prior that he was doing anything outside of like saving people from getting their purse snatched or robbing liquor stores or stuff like that. He had no part, I guess, in the takedown of Maroni that they kept referencing every time they were saying like Gotham's biggest drug bust throughout the movie. That was all done kind of like, well, I mean, you find out that it wasn't quite done, but they kept that all towards the mayor and the DA and everything like that were the ones that really came through for that bust. But so I mean, he's pretty fresh. This seems to be like Riddler really was the first like villain, like named or whatever, besides the Penguin, who just kind of started out as a goon, which is fitting because that's how he starts out. But yeah, so as far as like breakout villain, this seems to be Batman's first one. So then for the second one to be Court of Owls, I mean, that is
a huge jump. Mm-hmm. And obviously that's not, it's not confirmed. That's just what he said he wanted to do. And, we have no idea what's actually going to be next. It's just, I wouldn't be shocked if that is number 2, but that could be the third movie. Who knows? But either way,
how would that play in with the
who
Joker
knows what
too?
Time skip's going to be in the second movie.
Right. Because if we get a tease of the Joker at the end of this movie, right? So then I honestly think maybe it was a red herring and we don't get Joker next movie. And like maybe just keep building him up for a future project or whatever, which is cool. I don't mind waiting on the Joker. Joker's always
have him be a tease in one and in the second movie, right?
Yeah. Have him continue teasing him, continue building them up or whatever. Because like I said, Joker's always going to be dope. Like he's always going to be a villain that we know and love and like we're excited to see. So just keep building that suspense aspect to it. Don't blow the load too quick.
Because I think he would be perfect for the third movie.
Right. Yeah. Because then if you are going to want to do Court of Owls, how the fuck are you going to bring a whole Joker storyline into that too?
Right. Because Joker has to be the main star. But you would probably want the Court of Owls to be the main star of their movie. So that's why I'm with you. I would have Joker definitely be the third movie or whatever the case may be. I wouldn't have him be like I would tease him again like you did. That's good. I would tease him again. Yeah, that'd be work. And then have him be the third main thing in the main, not third main thing, but the main thing in the third movie. And then it could be his whole thing. And you can have some oh my god, some sadistic fun and make a really gritty Joker that's like, oh man, that could be great. That right there. Woo man. But
he's already in Arkham, right? So he's already done some shit. So we can can have flashbacks of like how he ended up there, his time spent in Arkham. Whoever he's getting to know inside of the prison, whether he breaks out or is released. That can either one would work really if he's done his time and is released, or if he breaks out. I think a breakout would be more exciting. And then, I mean, like you said, he could do some all sorts of crazy shit. We could even incorporate a Harley because we know how much DC loves Harley. Just the fact that he's already spending time in Arkham would easily be able to throw Harley in there.
I mean, yeah, you can, but honestly, man, I would really keep her away.
Yeah.
Because
I'm not saying
it already got tired with the freaking Harley garbage with the latest Suicide Squad movies and her own crappy standalone movie that bombed. That stuff did start to weigh on people. And even the actress herself said she was tired of doing that stuff. Like she needed a break. It weighs on people, and it's just like enough. Like Harley, she's all right, but she ain't really that good to be like just too much. And I wouldn't be that interested in a movie with Harley in it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So I would kind of like ease off.
I forgot how much you hate Harley, so it's all good.
Shut up, Jay. I don't hate Harley. I'm just being honest. Shoot. I'm being honest. I'm the one person who's honest out here when it comes to Harley and just flapping everybody on what they want to hear. I'm telling y'all the truth. Nothing but the truth. The black truth.
What if we get like old school Harley though, like the full jumpsuit wearing Harley Quinn, and ain't just like the
red and black polka dot Harley?
Hell yeah! Like it's not just the sexualized Harley that we've seen.
Okay, all right, that would be freaking awesome to see that kind of throwback and not the sexualized garbage. That would be pretty freaking cool, to be honest.
All right,
that would be kind of cool, but still, I would be a little careful. Let's be careful. Let's not have Harley like steal the show and have her just do everything.
Right. Oh no, for sure.
But yeah, that can definitely be interesting for sure. Because it was also interesting how they use Selena at the end because she leaves. She leaves Gotham.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so she's gone now.
Screw you guys. I'm going.
I'm out. I'm out of here. So if she's gone, I mean, it's like, honestly, it would be pretty lame if she just comes right back into. Like, what was the point of her leaving?
Selena?
Yeah. Like, what was the point of her leaving? Leave and then fell outside when she left and she had to, like, crawl her way back to Batman? Like, that's lame. Don't do that. Don't do that to her. So if she's gone, that's why, honestly, man, I would really think heavily on what we can do with Raj and Talia, having her be in part 2 and being the main female lead.
Okay.
I would really think, because again, you can use that to. I would honestly think about having Raj be the one who really trains him, and he learns the real better way of fighting. Like you can have a scene where he does something and Ross is watching him, and then like something leads to them fighting, and Ross just watches them, and he's just like, "Let me show you how you actually fight."
So train him while he's already Batman. That would definitely be interesting.
Right, but I'm saying
training.
He can still use some training. We can obviously see. Don't get me wrong; he out there whooping butt now. Don't get it twisted. But he is also going against completely normal people. Imagine if he did go against a trained fighter. He didn't go against a single legit trained fighter. He went against henchmen.
Right.
Whose their best asset is when things get bad, pull out a gun.
Right.
So that's why he can use the real training. Like he's had real training. Don't sleep on Alfred. But I'm saying the elite martial arts training that will set him apart when he's going against,
and like the ninja aspect. Fighters. Because they do show him doing his classic like disappearing from a room or whatever. They do show that, but they never show him like we were saying before, he barges his way in and fights his way to where he wants to be. They never really show like his capability of being invisible and using the dark or using the night or stealth stuff exactly.
Even with the disappearance, I think he only did that like really one time with
once or twice. Right?
When he was, and then he only really did it because he was rushing to get to Alfred.
Right.
If I remember that right, wasn't that one? And then the next one he was in the car trying to call Alfred.
Right.
Yeah.
While we're talking about Selena though, Zoe Kravitz can definitely get it. I'm just saying, she's very gorgeous in this film, and I think she does a good job. I just learned something today that I did not know, that she had originally wanted to audition for a part in The Dark Knight.
But they told her to skin color.
Yeah, and they told her that she couldn't do it. I had no idea that she gave off too much of what they said, an urban vibe, and wouldn't let her audition. And I was like, oh my God, like that's ridiculous, because she absolutely killed the role in as Catwoman. So I'm
not going to crucify them though, because their probably mindset was they didn't want unnecessarily, like the character is white, so they want to probably keep the character white. So I'm not going to necessarily crucify them for that. And it's
Catwoman. They used Halle Berry for in the original movie.
How well did that go?
Okay, I'm not saying it like...
And I get that, and you're right, they use Halle Berry, but let's also look at it like this, too. That's also Halle Berry. And that was Halle Berry literally in her prime. That wasn't like a regular actor. Like, no offense to this young lady. She's good, but she's not Halle Berry. Even right now, she's not Halle Berry for what Halle Berry was in her prime. Like,
I
this
agree
was
with
Halle
that.
Berry that could basically get almost any role.
Right.
So, bending a role for her kind of is like, all right, whatever. But plus, remember, that was also a complete standalone movie. That was not a Batman movie. So there's a huge difference there too. This was basically like
Who plays it in Batman Returns? Was it a white chick? I think it was a white chick, wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure it was a white chick. We might have to Google that a little later, but I'm pretty probably off camera because we ain't gonna
I'm
off.
looking it up right now.
Sure.
Batman Returns.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Yeah, it is. Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like a nerdy white kid girl. My bad. I was
so that's probably
like,
what they was looking at because, like I said, that was a standalone movie that was literally just like an alternate version, basically. So it's easier to do whatever color you want to do. But for an actual Batman movie, I can understand that. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it was a good idea because obviously, like you said, this rocked it. But I'm just saying, like, I can understand them saying, let's keep the character white because I've been the first person to say I get tired of seeing them just like changing the character's color when that character has primarily been one color, and instead of making new characters, you're just throwing in. It's just like when they was teasing the black Superman, and every single black person was like, "This is utter bullshit." To turn Clark Kent into a black person, like none of us liked it. Every black person you can look on, we was pissed the fuck off because that was bullshit. It's an assault. Give us an actual, use the actual black Supermans that are actual different versions, or make a new character. That's what pissed us off. Make a new character. You don't have to just turn a character black or turn a character white who was primarily black. Like, just make a new one. That's all.
How'd you feel about Jim Gordon in this movie?
Jim Gordon was good, man. He was really, really freaking good. And yeah, I know he's primarily been white, but they did a really good job with that.
Curious your feelings. Yeah.
Considering they turned again, they did a good job with Selena. They did a good job with Gordon. I had no problem with them being black or white. It's just Gordon was really well. He played it really good. And I love to see obviously when he when he had to get Batman to punch him in the face. And he's trying to sneak Batman out there, and he turns around, and Batman just clocks his ass. And he tells him later on, like, "Man, you didn't hold back, did you?"
Yeah, he's like, "You could have pulled your punch," and he's like, "I did pull my punch."
I don't blame him because not only did he hit him hard as shit, he technically completely sucker punched him. It was perfect timing though, and he did it where it completely looked like, yeah, he just did it. Like he caught Gordon off guard. It made tons of sense. But if I was Gordon, I'd be a little angry too. Like, damn, man, I didn't see that. Damn.
He had to catch him off guard because it was. Yeah, he had to catch him off guard because it was Gordon's idea. He was like, "Well, you need to punch me in the face," and so like if Batman had just been like gone to punch him, he probably would have recoiled faster. You know what I mean? Like it would have been like he knew the punch was coming. Staged. Yeah, exactly. It would have looked more staged because he knew the punch was coming. So that's why. That whole scene was pretty amusing, though. I gotta say. Fun. And then again, it was just another example of how young Batman was in being Batman. The fact that he had to fight his way out of a precinct now, and really didn't give that too much thought either.
Because remember, he set himself up for all of that. A older, or not necessarily older, a more experienced Batman would have definitely not got himself blown in the face. Like he wouldn't have let a bomb go off on his face. He had all the time in the world. He's looking at the counter.
Yeah, I was very surprised about that. Yeah, I was like, this is like he's really cutting it close. Does he not think that this is like
you were gonna get?
Yeah.
Like there was no way to get. Batman would have been like, "All right, I'm out." But no, he just stood there, and it wasn't even like he was trying to save the guy. He was trying to get more information.
Yeah.
So it was like,
damn, dude, take a couple steps back, bro, and keep asking the same questions.
Yeah, just take a step back. Face, bro. He got knocked the fuck out. Like, oh shit, Batman.
Yeah, he took a couple big hits throughout that movie. I mean, the shotgun to the chest was pretty insane. Like that scene, was surprising. Not only the fact that he took a shotgun to the chest, but also like
it's because that suit, man. That suit is
that
crazy,
shit
bro.
lifted
he
him.
Was bouncing bullets off like nothing.
I know. He was just taking direct fucking shots in a hallway from a machine gun. He's just like, all right, cool.
Walking through it like RoboCop. Like, damn, bro.
RoboCop. Oh shit. Yeah, no, it was. I did like how they showed his I don't want to say like how naive he was, but I mean, it's just that's
It
kind of
wasn't
how
all
it
naive.
was.
Yeah, he was naive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was good. I also recently, just going back on the what we were saying with how they kind of switched races around a little bit, made Catwoman, made Jim Gordon black. Apparently, people online are doing their whatever, that DC's going woke again, and I to that I say shenanigans. Like you said, I didn't see any issue whatsoever with Jim Gordon being a black dude, or the mayor being a black woman. And it's like, come on, man, like I don't know. It's at some point you got to stop trying to like force yourself to be offended about who they're casting for these roles, man. Like it's a movie. Like there are definitely more than just white male actors out there in the world. Yeah. It's okay. It's gonna be all right.
Yeah. Hell, my only thing with the mayor, her skin was irrelevant. My only issue with the mayor was how stupid she was. You have a situation where you got guys up there. Obviously, everybody knew at this point you got gunmen up there, and these dudes are freaking crazy. And this situation is set up to shoot a mayor in the face, and you go out there, and then you get yourself shot.
Yeah.
Trying to show community, and then she wasn't even a motivating factor in that part. It ended up being Batman later on.
Right.
So she didn't have, her taking that bullet changed nothing. It was just dumb. And she's lucky these was amateurs. These was freaking, vloggers at their house thinking they're taking up a cause. So they couldn't get they don't know how to legitimately shoot somebody like that. So they completely missed her in a serious spot and shot her in the arm.
Right. Well, yeah.
Where anybody else would have blown her brains right out.
Right. For sure. Yeah. I think that I think they were showing the youth, I guess, for a lot of them. Jim Gordon hadn't been commissioner yet. This was a brand new mayor who was trying to inspire change. She seemed like she was very young, young Batman. So if they really are like ground laying in that way, and they are going to continue building slow and steady, I'm all for it. And I really like to see how they show a more realistic side of that world building. I just hope that they continue doing it that way, and not like we said, don't rush to do these major villains out of nowhere off of the success of this movie. Even though I'm sure Warner Brothers is going to be pushing for the villains that'll get people in the seats. But if we just continue building the world like this, I think that they're on a great path to continue doing more phenomenal movies just like this one.
Agreed. Fully agree.
All right. And we are at 1 hour. We're going to bring the podcast to an end tonight. We will see you again on next Tuesday at 8 p.m. We appreciate you guys.
This is the end. I got to make sure I at least throw out some type of joke, Pornhub, Badoom Doom. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz. So we appreciate you, whether you're live or catching us on the replay. As always, stay villainous and